there's an even more greater tragedy, because this is a person that you've all heard of, and that is Imam An-Nasa'i, the famous Imam, died 303, of the 6 books, right? A great scholar of hadith, one of the greatest scholars of his era, and also the second Bukhari. Imam An-Nasa'i is like the second Bukhari in terms of his strictness of hadith and whatnot. Imam An-Nasa'i actually also suffered a lot of enemies and a lot of rumor mongering in his lifetime. He was accused of being pro-Shi'i. Now, at that time, when you say pro-Shi'i, you don't mean the 12 Shi'ism, you mean a softened version of Zaydism. Because again, before orthodoxy was established, before you had your theology developed, there were spectrums, there were continuums within what we now call Sunnism. Within Sunnism, you had a spectrum of opinions about the position of Ali radiallahu anh, the position of Muawiya radiallahu anh, who was better. None of them differed about Abu Bakr and Umar radiallahu anhuma. But after that, there was some gray area, and we find people in early Islam that had different opinions. There is this spectrum here that you keep on going before you get to what you call Zaydi Shi'ism, and then you get to 12 Shi'ism, and so on and so forth. So Imam An-Nasa'i was definitely on the more of the left side than what we are with right now. And frankly, had he been alive right now, the very people that read his book would have considered him to be a deviant. There's no question in my mind about that, if you know his beliefs and whatnot. But in that time frame, it's on the one level of the acceptability spectrum. Okay, his views about Ali radiallahu anh and about Muawiya radiallahu anh were views that they are what they are. Now everybody knew this, and there was already tension in his own lifetime while he's alive. There's already rumors, and there's enemies that are trying to exaggerate and whatnot. And towards the end of his life, he was 85, 86 years old. He decided to visit Damascus and to teach in Damascus. Now, Damascus is, of course, a bastion. It was a bastion even at that point in time. Of course, this is in the time of the Abbasids, but Damascus was still a bastion of pro-Umayyi thought, okay? Because again, that's where their capital was for 100 and something years, from the time of Imam Muawiya up until 90 something years. And there were very pro-Umayyad tendencies, generally speaking, let's just say not as much pro-Ali radiallahu anhu tendencies. This is in Damascus. So Imam An-Nasa'i came to Damascus, and he began lecturing in the Grand Mosque of Damascus. The famous Umayyi Mosque of Damascus. It's still standing to this day. Imam An-Nasa'i gave his lecture there. Now again, remember, his whole life the tension's been there, people have been murmuring and whatnot. And so somebody stood up and asked a very awkward question in public, and he said, narrate to us the blessings of Muawiya radiallahu anhu. Okay, now everybody knew this was a setup. Everybody knew that this is like teasing him, this is like jabbing, just poking and prodding him. And he became irritated. He's an elderly man, he's 85, 86 years old. He became irritated, and he let's just say he gave a smart aleck response. You can look this up, what he said and the context and whatnot. I mean, he was irritated because he knew that this is a joke question. The person asking did not intend a serious, it's meant to mock him, it's meant to make fun of him, and it's meant to put him on the spot after all that has happened. And so, he just gave a quick response and whatnot, and the tensions just erupted in the audience, and one thing led to another, and it's very, very tragic. The sad fact of the matter, right then and there in the Grand Umayyi Mosque, a mob broke out and began hitting, punching, pulled him from the chair, and literally stomped him. They didn't kill him right then and there. They wounded him so severely, he was dragged out by his entourage and whatnot, and he died I think a day or two later. But basically from that, the mobs that attacked him in the Grand Masjid. Why? Because of the fomenting of hatred, because of the rumor mongering, because of all of those decades of preaching that Imam An-Nasa'i is pro this and anti that, and he's this and that, and all it required was one spark, and that's it. Just everything broke, and the mob literally attacked him and killed him. Again, he didn't die in the mosque, but as a result of what happened in the mosque, he died because of that. And this shows us again the realities of fomenting hatred and of accusations that sometimes they actually have real world repercussions, as it happened in Ibn Furak and as it happened with Imam An-Nasa'i.